good, YouTube? It's me, the artisanmc, on some time from work. So, what's good, you guys? So, should have changed the name of this stream to open source brain work. I'm sitting here thinking about the interview I just listened to on Pearl's channel, and the interview was with the lead attorney, Anton Daniels, and two OnlyFans chicks that I could not see because I was listening to the interview on my earbuds. But the interview was about something, pivotal to all of us in some way or another, which is about modern women and they know what the hell men want, which I always find interesting. I always find that interesting. Right? Before we get into that, like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. And shout out to No One because he did get the notification, which I find funny because I put it out, 8 minutes before I actually went live. And you actually got it. Imagine that. Funny. I'm still wondering who are the, 2 or 3 people who run in, run out. Run in, run out. Like, goddamn. Y'all didn't grow up in the 80s where they stopped running in and out the house. But anyway, the interview that they did was interesting. And one of the hallmarks of the interview, and I put the interview and the link to the video on my community tab because I thought it was a really good interview. It was actually, wouldn't say insightful, but the interview was good in the sense that it didn't have any yelling. Yes, there was some contention back and forth about what certain things were said, but they still maintained an adult conversation. Nobody had to yell over each other. It wasn't this, so you were slut and everything else. It wasn't any of that. Where people were challenged on their points of view all around, and they were responded to in turn intelligently and with a thought process behind it, right? And people were given room to actually express a thought, right? Not just, monologue forever. Yeah, No One, stop slamming the door, running in and out the house. Exactly. Fuck up my screen door, right? So the interview was me in that sense because I personally like documentaries and interviews and exposés and stuff like that, right? Why do I like that stuff? Because I like to understand the person's mind state who you're interviewing. And you don't always get that when it's multiple people on the panel or something like that at the same time. You usually don't get that. Why? Because there's always one motherfucker in the group that wants to talk more than everybody else. They think they have to have something on everything, which is not the way life works. In life, you don't know everything. You don't. So you will not have something to put on everything. And that's completely fine. That's when you close your mouth and listen and have that maturity to be able to, okay, this is by me. Let me, like double dutch, let me sit back and wait for my turn to jump in and do my shit. Most of the time, at least here on YouTube, you don't get that. What you do get is people constantly interrupting, talking over, and diverting the conversation off into something else, and it never gets to a real discussion between the parties involved and hearing people's points of view, right? They don't even get a chance to flush it out or get the words out. So this interview was actually good. And I thought it was interesting in the fact that Two of the people on the panel were black men, and successful black men at that. One being a divorce attorney, was really good at talking and litigating, right? The other one being, as far as I know, of Anton, is a well-off dude. He runs a lot of businesses, but he got his shit together, right? Talking to two people in their 20s, cresting, getting close to that 30, right? And having them explain to them, these two grown men, what men actually want, which I always find really interesting for females attached to the sex industry to tell men what men want. I always find that interesting to me, right? Because inevitably, it always comes back to sex. It's all easy, and if that fails, I'll give them this, and everything will be good. It always comes back to sex. And for me, that means you fundamentally don't understand men at all. You understand the base nature of men, which is base nature is men want to have sex, but what up, studio? But just like the base nature of women, women want to have sex or get fucked, right? That's just what it is. That's just the base nature. And that cuts across whatever, sexual proclivity you actually have, right? For me, it drives me crazy a little bit, right? Because they're so adamant about it, but the only thing that they know is a man is willing to give them money off to them. That's the thing they know. But they're adamant in that position that because they've seen that, they know everything else, right? They know what a man wants for marriage. They know what men really admire, what men really look for in women, if they're unhappy in their relationships, all that stuff. At 29 years old, being an OnlyFans girl. But these two grown men who built themselves up have professions where they deal with a lot of people non-sexually, don't know what the fuck they're talking about what men want. One of which is actually married and been married for 18 years. But there's a 29-year-old OnlyFans model that's going to tell him he doesn't know what men want to be married. That just sounds absolutely ridiculous to me. Now, when it's a 2-hour interview, right? It's a 2-hour interview, which shouldn't be long because people watch movies for 2 hours, so that's not that big of a deal, right? But I was listening to that interview, and I think it was about halfway into it, where the girls are actually comporting themselves decently and stuff like that, right? They know how to articulate, they're talking, carrying on, not getting overly emotional, none of that shit, right? And halfway in there, they talk about they OnlyFans. I'm like, what? And it kind of took me aback. I had to take my phone out my pocket and look at, open it up and look at the pictures of who was the OnlyFans. And both of them. Then I saw them like, oh yeah, well she got her titties hanging out. Well, there you go, right? How did I miss that? Because I wasn't looking at it. I'm just listening to it, right? And later the age came out and stuff like that. But I already had a number in my mind when I was listening to this stuff. Excuse me. And it was kind of fluctuating back and forth while I was doing it because some of the stuff the girls said made sense. They were actually being honest, right? It's like, yeah, I would want to find a man. And yes, I do think it'll be hard. And yes, I do believe this OnlyFans stuff can be, mentally scarring for you the longer you do it. That's why I don't want to keep doing it. I'm like, well, bravo. Why don't you quit today? Because money too good. Money too good right now, right? So one of the people on the panel that was actually hitting with the most points was Anton. Anton was killing it on points because he was breaking them down about how what they were saying was delusional. Some of it was delusional. or other parts of it, you don't have any good guidance. Now, one of the things I noticed was that the more he pinned them down on certain points, it was more shout out to Sibo from Sacramento, but more backing up like an 8-leg crawdad. Okay, what up, Pragmatic? He does in the house, right? It was more backing it up and trying to restate what they said in a way that sounds more favorable, because the way they said it didn't make any sense, and it contradicted what they said the minute afterwards, right? And Anton kept pinning them down on that point. Now, about a quarter way through the interview, there was something said that made me want to do this stream and talk about it a little bit. That's why I went ahead and put it up on my community tab, right? Because I'm not going to remember all the points right now because I got other stuff on my mind. And actually, I'm not remembering the point that I wanted to say. But one of the highlights from this was that these women, which is nothing that Kevin hadn't talked about before, RIP to Kevin, right? Which is they want these top 1% of men, some man that makes $120,000 a year, right? Because she made a bunch of money in corporate America, and when COVID hit and she was out of work, she turned to OnlyFans and she made 20 grand in 3 days. And to me, that sounds like the same thing as somebody who's never gambled before going into a casino and hitting for 20K. What does this sound like? Delusion. You're going to be there every weekend trying to hit 20K again because you got that high off of that, right? Unrealistic expectations. Now, it took 3 people, mind you, TLA, Anton, and Pearl, to try to convince this woman that $120,000 a year for a dude is rare in America. That is a ridiculously high bar for a guy in his damn 20s. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Right? And that it sounded very disingenuous, as Anton was pointing out, to think that a man who's making that much money needs to settle on you as the OnlyFans girl. Because what he pointed out so clearly that she was missing and she had a rebuttal for, well, I know some men that do such and such. A man wants to believe that what he has, nobody else does. Why the fuck, if he's making $120,000, $150,000 a year at the top of his game, would he have to pick you out of all the women? And you have all this sexual stuff out there all over the internet. And the most, when asked, that you think you can offer him that would be good would be a sandwich and some good sloppy topping. What? That's why I say the age range that I had this person pegged for was fluctuating up and down. Because that sounds like a 21-year-old. Not a 28, 29-year-old. It doesn't. That is some delusion. And the reason she has that delusion, because she made a bunch of money when she was young. Because she was in sales and she hit the phones and all the rest of that. And she has trauma from how she grew up. And that's why she doesn't want to be broke and struggling for such and such. Look, man, all families struggle. All families struggle. Some more, some less. But all families, two people who have kids, more than one, struggle. You know why? Because that shit is expensive. Kids cost money. And somebody has to go to work to make it. If you're living in the Bay Area of California, two people are going to have to go to work to make it. You know why? Because most people are average. Everybody is not sitting at the first top 1%, top 10% of earners in the whole country. You are on crack and smoking your own if you think that is the absolute reality for everybody. That because you got a pretty face and a pair of big boobies hanging out there, somebody like that is just going to fall into your lap. You can just find it. Get the heck out of here with that. That sounds ridiculous. Like a midget saying he going to play in the NBA. Yeah, at a halftime show, you ain't on the court for the starting five. You got bet money that. Shit. So, even though I'm shaking my head at this woman for saying something like that, I am applauding her for some of the other stuff she was saying because it was making some cogent sense. Misguided, but it made sense. And she did keep her center. Well, one of the things she talked about was working on herself and getting therapy. I'm like, well, bravo. Well, bravo. You're actually going to therapy? Do tell. You're doing the work on yourself. You learned a couple of things. Oh, and it's not just pointing the finger at the man and saying he's the problem. Oh, my God. You must have found a decent therapist. Huh. Imagine that. Now, I think the reason why the woman, and she's the one with the red hair, that was saying all of this, is that she worked in sales. Sales is a very results-driven field. To use a line from Glenn Ross, said by Alec Baldwin, it's fuck or walk. That's just the name of the game. You either make the sale or you don't, and you find another job. She was making sales and making good money before the pandemic. And because she already had that, I gotta get it mentality, when her sales job was taken from her, she flipped to selling something else. The only thing that she had left to sell. A peek at her body. Now, she didn't want to go whole hog, I guess, in the beginning. End up like getting, shout out to Bill Bellamy. Right? She didn't want to go whole hog, so it was just topless doing her stand-up comedy routine. Now, when she said that, I thought about my crazy ex. Because my crazy ex used to do stand-up comedy. And she got a big rack. I was like, man, she probably could have tried that, but I would put something like that on her to do. Except for the fact, crazy ass got more self-respect. She wouldn't do that. She wouldn't be out there just showing her shit off like that. No, because she understands the value in something, at least a little bit. The value is in not showing it. Not showing it to everybody who pay you $30. You make you a $30 holler. The fact that the same person talked about morals, like, really? I don't know. I don't know if you can talk about that at that point. I really don't. I mean, When I'm listening to her talking, I'm thinking about Sugar Free and what Sugar Free said. And what he said about why he should never hear a woman talking about she broke. Never. Because as long as you got three things, you can always have some money. Because there's always a dude with his dick in one hand and dollars in the other, waiting to give it to some chick. And during the pandemic, that's what she went to. The oldest profession. Now, she may not be sleeping with anybody, and she might want to hold on to a little bit of a dignity, saying, well, I didn't show my box to anybody. I just did my boobs in my comedy. Okay, how good was your comedy? Was your comedy good enough to do without your top being off? Could you have made a living just doing your comedy from home without your tits hanging out? Like Charles says, pick a struggle. You want to have your titties out or you want to do jokes? She went back to selling the one thing she always had, herself. But then from doing this, she said she got into the industry and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's how it works. I'm in my late 40s, like late 40s, like another couple heavy breaths, I'll be out of this shit, right? I cannot recall, or I cannot tell you guys how many women I have run into who got into porn or some such because the first thing they started with was some pictures of showing their body. Yeah, her bra picked a struggle to lose. She didn't have no bra on. And the first thing I can tell you about that, no one, is what I learned from women. And my mother's friend who owned a lingerie store, she got a bad bra on. That bra that she's wearing, if she was wearing one, does not support her. And she'll be that old chick with three fucking belly buttons. Because them motherfuckers is just hanging. That's just loose skin right now. So I said, big titties is fun to look at. Over time, they're not fun at all. They're a hassle. Trust me. I've had enough big titty chicks. It's a hassle. For them. But she don't know how to pick a good bra. She don't. Now, I know it sounds like I'm bagging on them, but the point of it is that I've said this many a times, that modern women don't know men. They don't know shit about men. They really do not know men at all. And when you get to talking to them about what they think they know about men, it's only about men's sexual appetites, which is not really knowing a man. If you want to equate that to knowing men, just knowing what they sexual proclivities or they shit they might be into is, then any man that's had sex with a woman knows everything there is to know about a woman. How about that? That's it. That's all you know. You don't know the inner workings of men because none of these people are actually spending any time in any situation other than sexual with men. They're not. Not talking to them, not doing anything. I had to listen to this chick sit up there and talk about a guy making $70,000 wouldn't even make her list to be interested in. At one point in the discussion, at the next point in the discussion, oh no, we were going to have a family and he was building up to something more. Yeah, I could do that. No, the fuck you couldn't. You wouldn't even meet him. And Anton proposed a perfect scenario. The guy made 50K or so $60,000 and he works at Target. And she's sitting there being disingenuous as shit, talking about, yeah, we could probably do it if he was trying to work more and do something else. I'm like, bullshit, because you wouldn't even talk to him. The scenario Anton proposed would be, say this big booby chick is out in fucking Target, just say she is, looking for some cheap bras. Ask this guy to help her, who happens to be the store manager or something. And he tried to help her, and he is attracted to her and actually tried to hit on her a little bit, tried to get her number or something like that. She would not be fucking interested at all. Reason being, she don't know how much he makes. She only knows he works at Target. So she wouldn't be interested. She don't know the flip side of that, or how much he actually makes. And if she did, it would only make her a gold digger or a hoe. She'd only be fucking him for the money, for the benefits. So her sitting up there, no, if he was working towards something, we could, no, that's disingenuous. That's disingenuous as fuck. You wouldn't even talk to him. You wouldn't have a conversation with him. You'd be put off by the fact that he was trying to talk to you because you believe you're so much better than him because you made more money than him. This is where I don't get the idea in some people that because you sell sex or the promise of, shout out to Alan Roger Curry, RIP, the promise of getting some of your box lunch, that automatically equates you to people who actually make things, invent things that makes the whole world better or gives people homes and shit like that. The way this woman is sitting up there talking, you would think she found a cure for cancer or developed some new device to eradicate tumors or something like that. No, you're teasing dick. That's it. And you make a lot of money from it because there's a lot of dudes sitting out here with a bunch of money and no women. Because they're too afraid to be dealing with y'all asses nowadays. It's too much of a hassle and too much trouble. So they'd rather give you $50 or $100 to watch you play with your boobies and do your comedy sketch than spend the same amount of money going out with some chick one night who they know their friend can go out with the next night for the same meal and maybe get topped off. No, they don't see the trouble. And get topped off and then accused of rape the next day. No. Anton said it best that women are overvaluing what they bring to a situation. They are vastly overvaluing what they bring to a situation. Because Anton said it just like Angry Man has said it. People who, modern women who stay at home and make the home, what are you actually doing for the time that the kid is gone to school? What are you actually doing? Now, I can say this, I actually see this on a daily basis. Daily basis. Husband gone to work, kids gone to school. What's going on in the house? Cleaning, mopping, laundry, and shit like that. Look, motherfucker, it's not like you on the washing board at the creek washing the clothes. How long does it take to put a load of clothes in? 5 minutes? 6 minutes? You throwing it in the wash, you going about your business, maybe come back in a half hour, take them out, spend 2 to 3 minutes throwing them in a dryer, and run that for another 60 minutes or so. The longest part of that whole process is actually folding the shit. And if you're smart, you're not even the one folding it. The kids are folding it when they get home. That means you got a whole 8 hours to do shit. And most of the time, what I see 8 hours filled with is sitting on a cell phone, Instagram, Facebook, social media bullshit. Ain't providing shit, but want accolades. I am the value. I had to listen. I didn't have to listen, but I listened to this 29-year-old talking about how women help make a man. I'm like, no, the fuck they don't. And Anton jumped on her about that. No, you don't. If you wanted to meet a man with $70,000 or $150,000, he had that before you met him. You didn't make him. And even if he decided he wanted to rock with you, from that day forward, you need to be adding to what he did. But you ain't made him. Men make themselves. Women get made. You know how you know? Beyonce was pretty rich on her own. Thanks to her daddy putting that group together, making those girls get out there and dance, shaking their tail feathers, getting those endorsements, getting that exposure, acting in shitty movies and everything. But she wasn't made a mother till Jay-Z put a seed in her. She wasn't made a wife until he proposed to her. And she wasn't made a billionaire until she married his ass. Jay-Z was already those things. So I'm listening to this 29-year-old OnlyFans saying how you make men. No, you don't make men. Oh, we create. You don't create life. I'm sick of hearing this damn myth. That's what set me off. I'm sick of hearing this myth that they keep telling these young girls that you create life. You do not create life. You do not. Sperm has a life cycle. Eggs do not. You pass eggs every month until one is fertilized. Nobody says you're killing babies every time you have a period. Nobody says that. But if you see a dude and he jerking off on his sheets, you know them sperm got 72 hours to live. After that, they're dead. Meaning, sperm is alive. Them eggs are not. You are not creating shit. You are the soil in which things are created, but you do not create, which is why you cannot spontaneously create a fucking baby. Now, I don't know who keeps telling them this shit. I wish they would stop because that is a misnomer. I don't like it when I hear it and guys don't challenge women on that shit. And it's not to devalue women, no. It's to pop that balloon of ego that makes them think we're responsible for all this. No, the fuck you're not. What are you actually building besides erections? You listen to this woman sitting up there talking. Like I said, you'd think she discovered the cure for cancer or some shit. I'm like, you're not doing anything different than any other chick for the last 40 years of my life has been doing when times got tough. They sold their fucking body. And now you think you know the world because of it. No. No. I've known plenty of strippers. They don't know shit but how to tease dick. That don't make them good women. That don't make them good in the bed half the time. It doesn't. But they just know how to do this, and dudes will give them money for it. I don't have
mid 40-year-old friends right now who have been cute forever having mental stress right now because all they developed was the ability to tease dick. And now they're later in life and dudes really ain't trying to pay them like that to see that shit, and they don't know what to do with themselves. They barely know how to function when they're not the top of the list on the menu. They don't understand. What's wrong with these guys? Ain't shit wrong with them. What's wrong with you? You still thinking you 21? No. Sorry, they make a new 21-year-old every day. Remember, y'all outnumber us. So where is your value coming from? I'll tell you. Your value comes in what a man can get from you that nobody else has had. If I can point to 10,000 men who had $30 and could see your tits and everything else, then I don't need you. You're not valuable at all to me. Your value was set when you start accepting that for that. $30. That's who you are. That's your value. And you put it on yourself. What the fuck would I want anything serious with you for when anybody with enough money can get the same shit I'm getting? That ain't special. This is why I told a friend of mine to get off the dating app that they was on, because their value was going down the whole time. You got a new car that's been in 2 accidents. You don't need to get out there in the demolition derby and still think you about to get new car prices when you look for somebody to buy you. You fucking crazy. No, you need to get out of that. But this is modern women thinking. Oh, I just want a man. I just want to be married. Well, if you just want a man and want to be married, why are you doing this shit that's gonna make you less likely to ever be married? And what do you want out of marriage anyway? Do you realize when you say that with all the stuff that you got around you, that all you're saying is, I need somebody to carry all of this shit for me? Well, why would he have to? And why would he want to? You better make it something appetizing. And it's going to be more than sloppy toppy in a sandwich. Oh, no, no, no. It's going to be a hell of a lot more than that. But they don't get that. So the interview touched on a lot of that stuff, where seeing where the mind state is and exactly highlighting the fact from a conversation that overall, modern women don't know men. They don't. And I'm at the point of saying it's absolutely impossible for them to. And I say modern women in the sense of, let's just say 35 and below. Because 35 and up, look, you're getting close to Gen X territory, and that's a no man's land. Y'all supposed to be out of the dating market anyway. You really are. You're not supposed to be in the dating market no more. You're supposed to already have been able to lock down a decent man and couple up and call it a day, because you ain't supposed to be out here on the field with the young Turks. Who wants the 40-year-old linebacker out there, or the 40-year-old running back out there with some 20-something-year-old 300-pounder? You know, you want what? You trying to send people to the cemetery? Is that what it is? Is that how we speeding this shit up? No. Every profession, even a hoe's profession, has an age cutoff. Or you're just not really viable no more. You're not going to pull them like you used to, even carpentry. That's why you're always supposed to be moving up. Thankfully for men, you move up as you get older. Your value goes up as you get older because you're gaining more and more skills, more and more competence, more and more expertise. It's not the same thing for women. It can suck, but I didn't make up this world. I'm just living in the shit. Okay. And I'm learning the rules of the lay of the land. That's just what I do. Your value goes down. The older you get, the more traumatic relationships you have, the more exposure to sex you have, the more sex you have, the more guys that you fuck, your value goes down. You don't like it? Too fucking bad. That's not changing. And you not changing and crying about it. That's just the cold hard facts. No dude, no respecting man wants some chick that's been ran through by 50 dudes. You better be a porn star and he better be one too. And even then, I still think you might have some problems if you listen to porn star documentaries and see what struggles they have with relationships inside the industry and outside the industry. No. So this chick, they about to hit close to the wall. And I tell you this, sloppy top is good, but it does not take the place of actually being about something. It does not take the place of actually discretion or something being to the person that you're with. It doesn't take the place of being somebody who's agreeable and understands how to deal and interact with a man. It doesn't. Because that's at the end of the day, in a marriage, you're going to be doing. Not just getting all your needs and wants met, but you're going to have to be the person seeing to the other person's needs. And sloppy toppy is not the first thing on the fucking list. Shouldn't be. Because sloppy toppy being on the top of the list is somebody in their 20s where they still got all that raging testosterone and sex is still the newest thing in the world to them. So everything is important if it leads to sex. After 30, 35, 40, 45, what this bitch talking about? What did you learn? What do you have up in your head, girl? Oh, just let me suck your dick. We'll get to that some other time. What's going on with you? Do you know anything about this World Economic Forum? Do you know about this recession and why you can't get them shoes that you want and why eggs is $13 for a dozen? You know anything about that? No, it was just more expensive. I don't understand why we can't spend like we used to. Because the country is tight, motherfucker. Do you pay attention to anything? Other than what you want? The fuck out of here. There's a lot more that goes into it besides fucking sex. If that's all you have to offer, that's all you'll be good for. And Anton pointed that shit out that he debunked what the chick was saying about how men that come to her OnlyFans thing are unsatisfied in their relationships because they come to her and talk to her about things that they want and stuff like that. And Anton had to break her down and tell her, no, as a grown man, there's some things you don't want to think about with your lady. And I'm like, Anton has actually been married just like I've been married, so he understands that shit. There were sexual things I never wanted to see my wife doing when I was married. She might have wanted it. I couldn't see myself doing that to her. Couldn't. It did not track in my head to see it happening with her. It was too raunchy, it was too filthy. No. And maybe that was just me and my programming, that she was kind of pedestalized in my head that, hey, this is my wife, the mother of my child. She gave my beautiful daughter. Maybe I don't want to fire hose her face because I like kissing her. I'm damn sure not kissing her after that. Fuck all that. No. This porn shit is for porn. Or hoes that get into that shit. Now, how I explained it to the wife at the time, there's certain things I don't want associated with your face. There are. That's why every man has a spank bank. It ain't because he don't find you attractive. It's just some shit he don't want to do with you. The association don't need to be there for that. I'll give a perfect example. Since it's the PMDM, it's late night, we can talk about it, right? I may watch a porn or go to a sex club where a chick is sitting there sucking and humping on 5 dudes. I'm in the Bay Area, so I can go find that tonight. Easy, right? I can go find that and watch that and be totally fine with it. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Damn, they into that shit. Woo. Right? It doesn't mean I want to see my wife being the one doing that shit. Doesn't mean that shit at all. And TLA pointed this out on the interview. No, look, I'm not kissing my wife after I just watched her, suck off some dude. He jizzed all up in her mouth, gave her the gummy mouth, and now she want to come back and kiss me? Oh, hell no. What did the chick say? Oh, well, maybe if you guys doing it together. He was like, hell no. It don't matter if you doing it together, doing it in secret, doing it separate. Hell no. No, guys don't want that shit. No. But that's the misconception of women who only know men through their penises. Do not know men on how they work mentally. She thought it was okay. It was arguing with 2 grown men that no, dudes like that shit. Huh? No, the fuck we don't. Now, maybe you know an exception, but that ain't the damn rule. There is a certain type of dude, a small percentage, who get into that shit. Them ain't 2 of them that you was talking to. No fucking way. But that was the thing. She thought it meant because a guy will want something like that, he wants to hear a woman say that shit, oh, he's unsatisfied in his marriage. No, he's not. I could say this having been a married man for 14 years. I was very happy in my marriage with my wife. Didn't mean I wouldn't fuck all over the glaze counter, the little donut shop chick. Didn't mean that shit at all. Didn't mean didn't want to glaze her face like one of them damn donuts back there. Didn't mean that shit at all. What it does mean is I'm a heterosexual man with sexual urges. And some stuff I want to see and some stuff I want to do. All of it ain't with my wife. And a lot of it, I don't need her face associated with either. I don't. Because I can tell you this, in a little sense, any chick's face that you fire hose, you ain't really respecting like, oh, this is my wife. It's not the same respect. That's why men go to prostitutes. It's a different level of respect because it's an understanding. She knows what she's there for and what she's doing, and she's agreeing to it. It's okay with her. Might be okay with your wife too, but it makes that breakfast table conversation when the daughter comes up and kisses her on the cheek or something like that kind of fucked up when you're thinking about what y'all was into the night before. Damn, I had her. She was eating my homeboy's asshole with her tongue. She gonna kiss our daughter like that? Nasty bitch. Did you use your mouthwash? Did you scrub your face? No. Totally different situation. Look at Toya in here with the heart eyes. Don't make me horse laugh, Toya. What did no one say? 40 is the magic number, maybe 35 with kids before the drop off and piss and vinegar. It is. Look, study biopsych, right? Figure out when your brain finally starts, solidifying and your skull hardens and all the rest of that shit. And when your testosterone levels come down to where you can have a manageable sense of understanding and collective deep thought. It's usually in your 30s, 30, 35. That's when you finally start leveling off and you can think fucking clearly. When that happens, things change. Now, most people will call that a midlife crisis. It's not a midlife crisis to me. It's where you finally get in some control of yourself. That hormones are not making all your decisions for you. Just like a girl that's in her 20s and ain't got no dude, she's not using the scarcity of money make all her fucking decisions for her. That's why she out there selling box, showing her titties, doing whatever she can to get money. The scarcity in the fleeting time is what she's using to try to amass that. Her hormones ain't calmed her ass down yet. That's what the wall is for. To get you chicks to calm the fuck down and realize, maybe I was going at this wrong. Maybe I need to develop my interpersonal skills more than my dick sucking skills. Maybe that's the way to a man's heart and not just emptying his balls and his friends and his co-workers or the whole squad. That's what the wall is for. That's what 30s for men are for. That's why your peak is in your 40s. Because now you're fucking calmed down. And if you didn't do anything too fucked up in your 20s, you can hit the ground running in your 30s. Get completely up to speed. Like, man, I ain't fucking off as much money on these chicks. I ain't out at the club every night popping bottles trying to be VIP when I'm just a regular dude. But man, I got my money in the bank. I got my savings done. I got my investments. Man, maybe I even bought a house or something. Got my shit, got my money right, working my job, and I'm moving up in my job. Man, life is good. Maybe I feel like taking on a chick now. Maybe I feel like having a family now. Because I'm kind of cush right now. I got this shit sailing right now. I could take on that. I could spend that 10K a year on a kid and not trip. I can take them on vacations in the summer to Iceland or some shit like that. Because I got that. My job paying me well. That's when that happens. So, at least for me, a lot of this stuff is that people get really And the modern women get really delusional. I should actually up that age and say 30, 37 and below. All the reason I'm saying is because I'm thinking of my crazy ex, and she hated manosphere content. She didn't like Kevin, and she hated the term modern women. She was in her 30s. So that's what I think it is. Right before 40, 37, 3 years before 40. Should be past the wall and got children. And still thinking they're supposed to be catching a high value top 1% man when they're a car that's been in one wreck already and had more dick than they could fit in two hands already. Best thing you can be for a man that adds the most value to you is discreet. It's very selective. That ain't everybody hit that shit. And ain't everybody seen it. You can't hold on to that little bit of virtue. Look, he don't want to. He's hopefully, if he's an adult, he ain't thinking you a virgin. But at the same time, you couldn't be the freak of the week either. Okay. But that's it for me. If you want to watch the interview, go ahead. It's on Just Pearly Things channel. Do modern women know what men want? No, they don't. They really don't. And part of the reason they don't know is because they always trying to tell men what they want and they never asking men what they want. That's the main problem. They think they fucking know it all. They don't know shit. Not about men. Because they never asked. And they ain't never been men. So how the fuck would they know anyway? But that's it for me. I'm gonna get out of here. I'll probably stream again because it's Taco Tuesday. I need to order my tacos and get some of this stuff done, or I want to relax. I want to unwind. So it might be time for some killing. But I've been artisanmc. Thank you guys for showing up. Like, share, subscribe, support the channel if you feel so inclined. And this has just been my philosophy on what modern women don't know. Peace, y'all. Peace.